In some other episode of CJ Raw, I talked about how sitting was the new smoking, and I said you should always stand. A lot of people called me out on that. So in this episode, I'm gonna sit down almost the whole episode, and I found some stranger to help me out. I need a chair. This is Dr. Kelly Starrett.
You can have it.
World famous photographer Chase Jarvis.
It's PureCast exactly the way I like it. All right, so we're going to talk about three things today. This is my friend, Dr. Kelly Starrett. Say hi, Kelly.
Hey.
He does speak. So I introed this thing. I told you that I was saying sitting's the new smoking and all that stuff. But the reality is, bro, we do have to sit a lot.
Oh yeah,
right?
you're going to. I mean, just go to a nice dinner and be like that guy standing at the table. Not cool, not cool.
Now, this is a lesson in sitting, is it not?
Totally.
Okay.
Who taught you to sit?
Nobody.
They're like, good luck.
This is your bottom. Get
luck, kid.
down on it.
That's right, and you worked it out. We have to understand that when you stand, you have these mechanisms of the way your body works that supports your spine.
Yep.
When you sit, you lose two of those. And in fact, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Squeeze your butt. Can you squeeze your butt like that? You can for like a second. Now you're that guy again, right? Right? And so that's not going to work. So what we've lost is we've lost the ability to control our pelvis as it relates to our trunk.
Okay.
So now what ends up happening is that we end up either just kind of slamming in one direction or the other direction, right? And I'm just now bone on bone, right? That's not good. So the other thing is, when we stand, we want to screw our hips into the ground like Tadasana in yoga. So how do you screw your hips in the ground when you're sitting?
Poorly.
You know what you do? You end up manspreading. Yeah, all the women were like, yeah, women have hips too, bro. But what you're seeing is when you're sitting that wide, you're actually creating some tension in the hips, which makes your back easier.
Got it.
More stable. First and foremost, you're never supposed to sit on your hamstrings. The back of your legs are non-weight-bearing surfaces. Have you ever seen a gibbon's ass? The baboon, think about that butt, right?
Yeah.
Think about
Not
what the
since
bottom
breakfast.
of your soccer running feet look like. They're
Yeah.
gnarly, right?
Uh-huh.
Is that what the back of the most beautiful hamstrings in the world look like?
No, I like
These
hamstrings.
stems,
Yeah.
we want to look nice. So don't sit on them. In fact, sit on the thing that's designed to be sat on, which is the ischial tuberosity. So you got these bony aspects of your pelvis. You feel that?
I do.
How simple was that? So notice that you're way far away from the back of the chair here, right?
So is this just, I don't even need this thing?
No, you don't need this thing. I don't know what this is for, actually, except for destroying you, right?
Okay,
So if you find, wherever chair you're in, see if you can find the sit bones and sit at the edge of the chair. Now you'll notice that what you did was you anchored your feet here, didn't you?
I did.
So now you have some weight going through your bum, through those sit bones, which are weight-bearing surfaces, and through your feet, kind of a 60-40 deal. Sit back again and see what happens to the weight through your feet.
Gone.
Gone. Now here's the key piece. Take your rib cage,
Yep.
just bend it down a little bit so you got a little notch here, right? And we like to say abs on like 20%. So if someone walked by and they're like, hey, and hit you in the stomach, you'd have a little bit of bracing. You don't need to be flexing your cobra hood all the time, but you need to be supporting your spine.
Okay.
When you're sitting upright on your sit bones, automatically you're going to force your body to do a little bit more work. And so the more work we can get into supporting the structure of the spine, the better off we're going to be in the long haul, and we won't default to positions where my head is forward and my diaphragm is messed up.
Which is
and
the
my shoulders
classic
are out.
position of any Photoshopper or designer.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like,
And I'll tell you, set yourself up for strategy where you can then, hey look, I'm kind of sitting side saddle on this chair all of a sudden, right?
Great.
And then maybe I could cross a leg. What if I, wait for it, squatted on the chair a little bit, right? You're creative, you can
Yeah,
do all
for
this
sure.
creative stuff. And what you're gonna start to see is that there are a whole bunch of ways that you can use this prop to constantly be changing your position. So find your sit bones, move forward, abs a little tight, and then think, my next position is my best position. And then there's not gonna be one shape where you're a statue all day long and it's all perfect, but I want you to be constant motion.
Great philosophy. Now, the reality is that we get a little bit beat up through everyday life.
I mean, in the airplane, you're not like sitting on the edge of the
Correct.
chair.
I fly
More
three or-
champagne, please.
3 or 4 times a week, and you sit like in those kind of shitty chairs for like, minimum 2 hours, often 5 to 8.
When you stand up, you get off the airplane, you're like this, you're like, oh, duh, what happened? And then you can't even squeeze your butt, you're just so stiff.
Yep.
Let's talk about solving that
Let's talk
problem.
about right now.
Okay,
Ball. All right, ball.
all right, so this is a lacrosse ball.
What about this ball?
Also a lacrosse ball, super cheap.
What about this ball?
Ching. So let's talk about this for a second. So go on,
So this is thing 2. Ding.
put this thing just right on your hamstring for me. Now, how do we know a tissue is normal or not?
If it doesn't hurt when you sit on something round.
It should be normal. So if it doesn't hurt, it's normal. So load that thing up and get some pressure. Did you find something that's kind of sensitive?
Actually, I'm pretty good on my hamstrings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, hunt around. See if you can find something that's ugly. So I found something that's ugly. So
Yeah,
that's
there
what we
we
call
go.
informed freestyling. It's important is that you know your body really well, right? So what you just did there is you found a tissue that's painful to compression.
Yep.
That means that tissue is not sliding correctly. So what we can do now is contract into the ball. Oh, hey.
purpose?
Yes, and then release like a light switch. And you should get to the bottom of that. Contract again and release. Oof. And you're getting deeper, aren't you?
I am. It's
contract.
not
So
pleasant.
you're like your scar tissue exoskeleton shell was keeping you from the reality of your soft, chewy center, right? So I want to contract and relax until that starts to normalize, and you'll start to see that that has attenuated a little bit, doesn't
It
it?
has, yeah, but
Contract, relax.
it's way better than it was even just like 20 seconds ago.
Right. And that is a simple way to address any musculoskeletal pain. So if you find your hands getting numb, you could get into your forearm, right? I could rub in my pecs, I could get into my neck. The idea here is as soon as this is part of the equation while you're sitting, now you've hijacked sitting into a time where getting some work done.
But why would I care? Like, all right, I'm like, how is it gonna make my life better?
When you discovered an area of your body that's stiff
Yes.
or painful to compression, that's a pre-cue about a mechanical system that's not working
There's
well.
something going wrong. Got it.
You're looking at the inside of your camera because you know that little piece of grit in there is going to mess it up, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what's happening here. And what we're asking you to do is to start to do some preventive maintenance on your equipment. This stiffness aggregates and at one point becomes such a problem that your body starts to develop pain potentially or has a mechanical compromise. If you do a little bit of maintenance all the time, you stay ahead of it.
You're actually flipping the script on sitting. You're making
Maybe we need to sit. No, we don't need to sit.
yeah, we don't need
But you're
to
going to have to sit. You're going to have to. The idea is we divide sitting into optional, non-optional. Do your best to mitigate some of this stuff.
Okay.
And then when you're here, A, start to address your sticky, nasty tissues, and B, but there's something else we could do that relates to making sure that they're well hydrated.
Oh, shall we cut to that?
Yeah.
Let's go to the kitchen. Thing 3 is about how to drink water. How do we drink water?
Right? You're like, hey, I can't mess this up. I'm a human being. Well, here's the deal. Problem is we're drinking a lot more water, I think, than we were. If you are eating cleaner, chances are you're also pulling some of the salts out of your diet, right? And so
Probably.
you're not absorbing the water. If you look at an animal, they eat and drink at the same time.
Yep.
So if you're salting your food and drinking water, you're good to go. But a lot of us are drinking water when we're not eating.
For sure. I do it all day long, and I pee all day long.
So what happens is that you're basically blowing out all your electrolytes and not absorbing. You become hypohydrated, which is a little different than dehydrated, which is sort of a clinical idea.
Okay.
So here's a mad easy trick. And people are going to think you're insane. 12 ounces of water or some water, right? Keep some salt.
Do you put water in first, or do you put the salt in first?
There, you got that much?
A pinch.
That's it. Now,
You didn't like season it, you just...
Whatever.
All right.
the idea here is that if you put a little salt in, it changes the osmolality, right? And your body will now absorb that water, and this becomes like special water. Like we could
Charge a lot of money for that one.
The Russians, if you go to a Russian sauna bath in New York.
Banya 5 in
No,
Seattle.
that's right. They hand you a salty water. Have you ever had that afterwards?
No,
Oh, it's so Russian. Like, here, drink this salt water, kid. If you have some lemon lying around, even better.
Like we do.
What we do, so a little pinch of lemon on top of that. And now you literally have the greatest cocktail. In fact, I have a bunch of friends who start their day by chugging this concoction.
I start out with usually around 32 ounces of water.
Oh, that's great. Pinch of sea salt plus some lemon, game changer.
All right, so now to wrap up in summary, we know you're gonna sit. Kelly, you know we're gonna sit, right?
True fact.
So we just did these 3 things. We call them the solution to the freelancer's dilemma. A, how to sit, B, how to mash it out, and C, how to drink some water so that your tissues do what?
Start sliding again.
Start sliding together. Dr. Kelly knows. If you guys don't know Dr. Kelly, he's at Mobility WOD. Thanks a lot for coming out to the show.
Always a pleasure.
Cheers. What do we do?
Wait, what? That was awkward. Watch this, heart to heart. Oh, even that messed it up. I love it.
You can have it if you want it. It's gratis, it's for free. There ain't no strings attached, no, there ain't no catch. Take my love, take my love, take me. You can have it if you want it. It's gratis, it's for free.